Hi, today we're talking roasting chicken. We're going to be making a whole, this is just over 6 pounds roasted chicken in the oven. This is a incredibly simple thing to do. It looks complicated. And if you're doing this for a significant other, if you're doing this for someone who doesn't know if you can cook or not, this is a really simple way to impress a lot of people. What we're going to need for this is obviously the chicken. You will need microplane zester, lemon, a big old onion. I usually use white. You can use sweet. You can use uh, yellow. Stay away from the red onion. It doesn't really work for this. And then a whole head of garlic. Also, I have a nice bowl because I'm going to be throwing a bunch of stuff into it. But to start, it's got salt, kosher salt and pepper to start our spice mix, which we'll be putting under the skin of the chicken, but I'll get to that. First step in the whole process is we are going to set our oven to 375 degrees and let that get going. And then it's time to start cutting up some veggies. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to deal with the garlic. We don't need quite as much paper. Now we're not peeling all of this out. We're going to take a few cloves, 4, right? 3, 4 nice sized cloves. Paper out of here as best we can. And take your knife, smack it. The rest of the paper off, and smack it. If some hits the floor because you hit too hard, well, that's just the price you pay for cooking. All the trash. And one more. Okay. Now, we want off the little end because you don't need that part. We're going to try to get this as small as we possibly can. We're going to try to mince this. Now, if you, like me normally, want to use minced garlic out of a jar because it's easier, go ahead. I'm not going to judge you. I don't think anyone should judge you for that. I like to use that stuff in most cases. But the reason that we're not doing it, or I'm not doing it this time, is because I want to take the top off the rest of the garlic so that we can put this inside the chicken. Okay, so being very, very careful when we're doing our initial cut so that I don't end up cutting my fingers again like I did when making French fries. That would be bad. And if I have another Saturday where I end up in urgent care, they're going to start asking questions. So I'd rather avoid that if at all possible. Doing a rough cut at the moment. All the lovely thing about garlic, and I use lovely sarcastically, is that when you start cutting it, it starts to get sticky because of what it releases. Now, it's a wonderful flavor, and it is great for cooking. It's just, it clings to everything. It's its defense mechanism. I'm going to get this nice and thoroughly cut. I'm using a knife because that's what I used when I first started making this. You can use, if you have one, a food processor. Even a mini one will speed this process up greatly. But I'm going old school because this is how I learned it. And by learned it, this is how I taught myself to do it. Chop, chop. It does not have to be completely even. We want it nice and tiny so it blends in with our spice mix that we're going to build. Well, our mixture. I don't know that it would really be called a spice mixture. So we take this and we plop it into the bowl with the pepper and salt. That felt weird. In the bowl with the salt and pepper. Don't know why I said it the way I said it. Just one of those things when you're talking off the cuff. Okay. Now that we've got our garlic taken care of, we're going to worry about our onion. This does not need to be finely chopped. It is a completely different thing. My camera person is covering their eyes because they're afraid. Taking off the ends and the paper. If I can get a grip on it without it sticking to me. Speaking of the defenses of various vegetables and plant life, the onion releases hydrogen sulfide or sulfur that mixes with your tears to produce sulfuric acid in your eyeballs, which is why you cry. And that is unpleasant. So you don't always get a great onion when you're at the grocery store. That's okay though. I'm just going to take this center portion out because I don't need it. Yeah, you can go too. You're starting to look kind of funky as well. Oh, the curse of being a real cook. Most of this is going to get shoved in the center cavity of the chicken, so we don't need to go too deep. Now the rest, I kind of want to break up the petals because we are going to be using these under the skin for flavor. I never understood when I would see people cook chickens or things with large amounts of skin. They would always put stuff all over the top. It's all going to go away because not everybody's going to be eating the skin. I want the flavor to be down with the actual meat. So that's the onion, that quick. Next up, we're going to zest our lemon. The outer layer of the lemon, this bright yellow portion, is the zest, and it contains all kinds of flavor compounds. It contains oils. This less yellow color, this white stuff, that's the pith. It doesn't have a taste. You don't want to zest that. Just lightly get the top layer of skin. And we're zesting this right into the bowl. If you are one of those people that watches nature videos, those big white hats that people like to wear on safari, those are pith hats. And I'm pretty sure the stuff underneath the bright yellow on lemons, oranges, and other citrus tastes about as good as eating one of those hats. You don't want it. You do not need it in your life. This just brightens up the flavor of everything. It's good to scrape the inside of your microplane zester. There are no blades on that side. So finally, we want to chop our lemon. Maybe pull out a seed or two before we do anything else. Okay, so now that we've gone through and taken things apart, now it's time to deal with the chicken itself. I'm going to take onion, one big section of it. It's going in here along with, followed by the rest of the garlic that we've cut up. I'm going to take lemon. Just going to squeeze that. Put the lemon in the cavity too. This is not stuffing a chicken, okay? This is not enough to impede your ability to cook it. So please do not be concerned that this is going to cause it to take longer or cause any of the problems that you see for Thanksgiving cooking when you're cooking a bread stuffing. What I am doing now is loosening up the connections of the skin so that I can take this bowl of lemon zest, salt, pepper, and garlic. I can place that under the skin. Get it as far back as you can go on both sides. We're trying to get as much of this onto the meat of the breasts as we can and as deep as we can so that we can flavor them. Now, some of this is going to be spilling out, but largely that's what we're shooting for. And we want to take onions, little pieces of the floret of onion that we made, and we're going to go under the skin as well, so that while the bird cooks, it is able to pick up the onion, garlic, lemon zest, salt and pepper, and just kind of roast that into the skin of the breast, because that's the stuff that you have to worry about drying out. So we want to give it enough liquid. We're squeezing the lemons over top of all of this. Don't leave the seeds by themselves. And then take the remaining onion and strategically place it in and around the chicken. Sometimes I like to make it look like its legs are holding the onions. Why not? I don't put those little white booties on the chicken, so maybe a little onion petal wouldn't hurt. Okay. And that is how we dress our chicken. Now, it's going to go into that 375-degree oven for approximately, because of the weight on this, about 2 hours. We'll be back to check. All right, it's been 2 hours, so we're going to check on our chicken, see if it's done, using a probe thermometer, because salmonella is not something anybody wants to live with. Oh, all right, we're going to go into the thickest part of the thigh. Wow, that is very much done, and I'll check the breast too. Yep, all right. We're at 176 degrees, so chicken can come out and rest. We do not want to cut this right away. We want to let it rest. That way my potatoes can finish. We'll be back in a moment after the chicken's rested, and we'll give it a cut. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to take our chicken apart. we have moved the bird over from her place of rest in the roasting pan to this lovely cutting board. And now we want to talk about how do we get it apart. I'm going to show you in two ways. I have my knife and then I have my electric knife. First off, we want to get as many of these. Wow, that wing just peeled right off. Fantastic. Try to get as many of the limbs off of the chicken as possible. And there goes the thigh too. If you roast it right and long enough, you may get it to happen like that for yourself. Now, with the breast, you want to find the keel bone, which is the center of the breastbone of the chicken. Slice down. And then we can come in from the side. And we take the breast off, mostly in one piece. And then cut it into portions. How nice and juicy that is. Try a piece. Oh my lord, that is phenomenal. Okay. As one of the advantages of being the cook, you can sample the food as you go. That wing came right off. And so did that thigh. Beautiful. Now, we're going to try this with the electric knife and feel like we're at Thanksgiving. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Lovely strips of chicken. You can save these for lunch meat for another time, so that you have these lovely pieces of chicken, nice and thin, to go right onto your sandwich. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how you roast a chicken and how you take it apart afterwards. Hope everybody has a wonderful night.